Maximize your yields while spreading out your workload with the earliest maturing winter cereal. Visit kws.com/CA to see how our hybrid rye varieties can work for you. High yields, high quality, high value for your farm. KWS, seeding the future since 1856.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
And welcome to RealAg Radio right here on Rural Radio Channel 147. I'm Kelvin Heppner in the host seat for today's show as we are coming to you from the ballpark today. If you hear the crack of the bat or the announcer in between, we are kicking off the 2024 InVigor Series together with BASF, broadcasting on location from a series of ball games over the next couple of weeks across Western Canada. And today we are in downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba, right beside the historic Grain Exchange District at the Blue Cross Park, as the Winnipeg Goldeyes play host to the Kansas City Monarchs in the American Association Minor League Baseball. This is the first stop in the InVigor Series, with shows coming up from ballparks in Edmonton and Saskatoon. Saskatoon just happens to be home of the coolest named team in Canadian baseball, the new aptly named Saskatoon Berries. We'll have a broadcast on location from there in a couple weeks with regular host Shaun Morin. But tonight, here in Winnipeg, there were a few drops earlier on, I should say, in the clouds. We weren't, like most nights in this part of the world this year, you're not sure whether you're going to get rain or a storm, or it's going to be a beautiful sun-shining night. And tonight, it's a beautiful night for baseball as the fans are in their seats. We're into the top of the second inning in the ball game. Quite a few farmers and BASF canola customers in the patio right in front of us here as we're broadcasting down the third baseline. Oh, there's a fly ball to the shortstop. Goldeyes shortstop makes the catch. We've got one out here in the second inning and a runner on second base for Kansas City. But of course, there are many connections between farming and baseball that we can celebrate, as this is a celebration tonight. It's the 10-year anniversary of the pod shatter reduction technology in InVigor canola hybrids. We should mention that, and we're going to talk about that a bit later in the show as well. But that innovation has had a major impact on canola production here in Canada and around the world. Planted to more than 80 million acres now in Canada since its debut about 10 years ago. Of course, though, many connections between farming and baseball. You can, of course, get all nostalgic about the Field of Dreams and that aspect of it. But I think it's nearly impossible to attend a ball game in any small town, in any rural community, and not run into people from the farming community on the diamond or in the stands, in the lawn chairs. I can say that from experience, enjoying our kids playing ball over the past few months here across rural Manitoba. And of course, that rings true right across North America in many areas where you, of course, are listening. There's that seasonal nature to baseball, of course, that is similar, where you have the off-season where you've got to prepare, and then get into production season where you got to produce, and yield is important, and you got to perform. There's the historic connection between rural parts of Canada and the U.S., rural communities, and the game of baseball. Many farmers growing up over the years have played ball at some point in their lives. But one of my favorite parts of baseball, having played it in the past, it's been a long time since I put the cleats on or coached, but the strategizing, the little things that give your team an edge, whether it's studying the pitcher or the opposing team's batters, figuring out the best lineup, the mental approach, the little details that give you an advantage. And if you want to get really baseball nerdy here, as Shaun Morin might be apt to do, you can get into launch angles, exit velocity, wins above replacement, OPS, just go on and on when it comes to ball. And I think there are many similarities when it comes to success in farming in terms of striving to maximize yields and profits. It's quite similar. You've got to pay attention to the small details that add up, and in the end, those small details can make a huge difference when it comes to having thin margins between winning and losing, on whether it's on the score sheet or on the farm income statement. And it reminds me, a few years ago, Saskatchewan farmer Christian Hebert and the late Danny Kleinfelder at Texas A&M used to talk about the 5% rule. If you can make incremental 5% improvements, it can have a huge impact on bottom line. And in the context of baseball, if a player goes from hitting 250 to batting 300 over their career, that's the difference between being average in the major leagues and being a Hall of Fame player. 250 to 300, that's like if they get a hit 25% of the time versus 30% of the time. And vice versa, if they bat 250 instead of 200, 5% fewer hits, that's the difference between staying in the big leagues or getting sent down to the minors or not making it. And Danny Kleinfelder used to say that a 5% increase in the price received for a commodity produced on the farm, combined with a 5% decrease in costs and a 5% increase in yield. If you can stack those three things together, it will often produce more than a 100% increase in net returns, and I think that applies well in both farming and baseball. So like Shaun would say if he were hosting, thank you for making RealAg Radio a part of your busy day today. We always enjoy the feedback, whether in person or on location like this, by email or phone. My email address is kheppner@realagriculture.com. You can also call the RealAg listener line. We've got lots coming up over the next 50-some minutes. BASF's Gill Smith will join us in just a moment to talk about the 10-year anniversary of InVigor's pod shatter reduction technology. Again, one of the biggest innovations in canola production. We'll talk about BASF's investing in rural communities and more. We'll also be joined by Regan Katz. Regan is the Chief Operating Officer for the Winnipeg Goldeyes Baseball Club. We'll talk about minor league ball, the connection with rural communities, and more. I think he also has a bit of a farm background that we're going to dig into. We'll have an agronomic update with our awesome friend Jeanette Gaultier to talk about verticillium in canola, disease scouting, and more with wet field conditions. I think it's safe to say there aren't many aerial applicators at the ballpark tonight. Spray planes have been buzzing over the last week protecting the crop while it's too wet to get into the field by ground. And looking forward to also pulling some farmers into the booth here at the ballpark for a farmer panel discussion about what's on their mind, as we've had a huge turnaround in the moisture situation in this part of the world compared to last year. It gone from very dry last year to very wet in many areas. Yield potential looks to be there, though, if we can protect the crop as we move across the finish line. Again, we're on location from Game 1 of the InVigor Series with InVigor Hybrid Canola from BASF Canada. I'm Kelvin Heppner, and Gill Smith of BASF is standing by. You're listening to RealAg Radio right here on Rural Radio Channel 147.
Join us for the Canadian Beef Industry Conference, August 19th to 22nd in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Spend time networking on the trade show floor, hear from keynote speakers, and take in breakout sessions designed to increase profit, manage your rangeland, and navigate trends. Get up close to advanced techniques and hands-on demos, and kicking it all off is Lamley's Bull event. Proud, sustainable, and innovative, we are beef. Registration is now open. Visit CanadianBeefIndustryConference.com for full details and to register.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
The Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com has everything you need to get your crop off to a great start and a strong finish. Whether you're growing chickpeas, fava beans, lentils, or peas, you'll get all the latest and best agronomic information at PulseSchool.com. A library of top-notch agronomy videos from industry experts available on demand at your fingertips. Visit the Pulse School, brought to you by BASF on RealAgriculture.com.
Broadcasting on location tonight from the Winnipeg Goldeyes game in downtown Winnipeg as part of the 2024 InVigor Series. RealAg Radio on location. I'm your guest host tonight, Kelvin Heppner, taking on the hosting duties. And we are pleased to be joined now by Gill Smith, who is a regional sales manager with BASF. Beautiful night at the ballpark tonight, Gill. Thanks for joining us. Why don't you fill us in on kind of your history and role with BASF?
Yeah, sure, it'd be great. So I've been with BASF for 10 years. I celebrated my 10th anniversary this April.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's been a good 10 years. The first 8 or so of those, I was in direct sales to the customer as a business rep and a retail rep. And the last 2.5, I've been the regional sales manager for the west half of the province.
So you celebrating a 10-year anniversary. InVigor itself is celebrating a big 10-year anniversary as well. Good
coincidence, right?
Your timing was good joining the company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a big year for Pod Chatter with the 10th anniversary this year. As you know, InVigor has been grown in Canada by farmers for over 25 years. It's been on 200 million acres. And the Pod Chatter reduction technology, it's been grown on over 80 million acres in the last 10 years.
Wow, and I know for many farmers that's made a huge difference in terms of their harvest flexibility and being able to choose what works best at harvest in terms of different ways of approaching getting the crop in.
Exactly, yeah, you bet. So it's given them the flexibility to either straight cut if they like or delay swath and sort of spread that harvest out so they can manage their risk a little bit better. Yeah.
There are also some new things on the horizon when it comes to InVigor as well that growers, including some of the growers in the patio in front of us here, should be excited about for next year.
Yeah, we have 3 new early InVigors this year. We're really excited to launch them for 2025. So we've got the InVigor L330 PC and InVigor L333 PC, which are going to be the 2 that will be best suited for Manitoba customers. And we also have L341 PC. It's a second generation clubroot hybrid, so it'll have a really great fit across the prairies, but mainly situated in Alberta.
Okay, so of course tonight we're also celebrating, in addition to the 10 years of pod shatter reduction technology, we're also celebrating, of course, the connection between the farming community and baseball, and of course BASF is part of that as well.
Yeah, you bet. So we're super involved in the communities we work and live in across Western Canada. Annually we contribute over $250,000 to local organizations. In my area, for example, last year we gave some free InVigor seed to the acres for Hamiota, and I think they raised over $100,000. And I saw on social media recently that they were able to invest that in a mini golf for the town, which is really exciting. And then in the last 2 years, we have introduced the community giving program, where we donate $25,000 per province to an organization that is looking for some funding. Last year, it was the Forest Special Projects Group in Manitoba that was the winner, and this year it's the St. Jean Volunteer Fire Department. So really great for them, so they can continue to provide emergency readiness for the community and surrounding area.
I actually live not far from St. Jean, and they had an incident where they lost an old grain elevator to fire this last year, so I'm sure that fire department certainly can use the resources.
Yeah, I'm sure it's needed.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to stop by the booth here as we continue with our broadcast on location today, Jill. Enjoy the rest of the ball game.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Again, that's Gill Smith, Regional Sales Manager with BASF, joining us here on RealAg Radio. We're celebrating 10 years of InVigor pod shatter reduction technology as part of the 2024 InVigor Series with BASF. RealAg Radio continues right after this. I think we're going to be joined by Regan Katz. He's the Chief Operating Officer of the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Give us a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to run a ball club like this and how their season's going. He also actually has some farm connections as well to a farm in southern Manitoba, and we're going to dig into those if we can in just a moment. You're listening to RealAg Radio right here on Rural Radio Channel 147.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
Choose Viatude fungicide and unleash best-in-class sclerotinia protection in canola and premium protection against white mold in soybeans. Viatude contains a powerful premix of Onmira Active and Prothioconazole. This unique combo delivers high-performance disease control, crop safety, mix compatibility, resistance management, and advanced mobility for excellent coverage and superior plant protection. Choose Viatude fungicide for stronger, more vigorous crops.
I'm Lindsay Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomists, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lindsay Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back. You're listening to RealAg Radio right here on Rural Radio Channel 147, on location today from Game 1 of the 2024 InVigor Series together with BASF Canada. I'm your guest host today, Kelvin Heppner. We are broadcasting from the Winnipeg Goldeyes Stadium in downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba. And pleased to be joined now by Regan Katz. Regan is the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer with the Goldeyes franchise. And Regan, welcome to RealAg Radio. I understand you actually have a bit of a connection to the farm in, or at least a family farm in southern Manitoba as well.
That's true. Thanks for having me. Yeah, connection to farm might be a bit of a stretch, but I did marry into a farming family and had to learn quickly how to not be a fool.
You have some of that farmer humility already, it sounds like, too.
I want to say I came by it honestly.
Cool. And you have your Class 1s, I heard?
I did. In order to participate, there's some equipment they let me drive, but I had to go out and learn to do better, and so I got my Class 1 for that, and now I drive Combine. They'll let me run the harrows every so often, and I'll do some hauling when we're in a pinch. All right. Well,
shout out to the family farm down in the Snowflake, Manitoba area. I guess that Class 1, you haven't needed it. At least you have that as a backup plan, I guess, if your job of the last, your workplace of the last 26 years, if anything happened there. But you've been with the Goldeyes for quite some time.
I have, yeah. 26 years with the Goldeyes. I joined them when we moved to this ballpark in downtown Winnipeg. And it drew me out. I thought it'd be a short-term thing. And, well, 26 years later, I guess it's not short-term anymore. And as you said, Class 1, anybody out there who doesn't have it, go get it, because you'll never stand on the unemployment line.
No, but you have quite the unique position running an independent ball franchise like this, working in administration. Tell us a bit about the Goldeyes and the history of this organization.
Sure. So the Winnipeg Goldeyes were existed in Winnipeg in the early 50s, went dormant in 54, I believe, and in 1994 they were revived and played out of the old football stadium in the St. James area of Winnipeg. It was referred to by the players as Deformity Field. It had a 250-foot porch down the left field line, so if you could swing it that way, you're pretty much guaranteed a home run. But we played there until 99, when Sam was able to put a deal together to build a ballpark in downtown Winnipeg. Thankfully, it was Winnipeg was trying to bid to host the Pan Am Games, and that was the catalyst for us to be able to build our own park. And Goldeyes moved here, and I've been here ever since. But we celebrated our 30th last year. This is our 31st, and obviously we managed to survive.
Not only survive, you also have a reputation, I think, of being one of the premier independent league teams, independent baseball teams, franchises in North America.
We are. We're definitely tops in Canada, and for minors and independent, we set the bar pretty high in our early years, and we've been able to maintain and hold it. For us, I mean, it's some people say, is it a secret? It's all about entertainment. We're put on a great show for all ages, and there happens to be a baseball game in the background.
What goes into that in terms of preparation in the off-season and planning? I know you have events like tonight where you have InVigor night here at the ballpark. Of course, I'm sure there's a ton of work behind the scenes in terms of upping that entertainment value.
It's 50 dates of pure entertainment and event planning. I say to anybody who tries to get their head around it, if you've ever planned a wedding, try doing 50 of them every summer. That's really what we're doing. It's all about who's your guest list, who's coming, how are they getting here. And all the way to what are they going to do from start to finish, and it's really a lot goes into it. We've been fortunate; we have a great team. We've most of our staff have been here 10 years or more, and really know what they're doing. And we made it a pleasant environment. So it's a place where summer workers want to come back to work, and continuity in staff is our secret to success.
Okay. You also have a beautiful location down in downtown Winnipeg. You have the Museum of Human Rights in the backdrop, and yeah, you have that Winnipeg the beautiful Winnipeg summer nights like tonight?
Winnipeg is known for its cold and known for many things, but its summer nights are a well-kept secret. It's warm, as we can sense right now. It's beautiful. The wind is mild. We're right by the river, the confluence of the Forks, and then on top of that, as you said, the Human Rights Museum, which came up after we were here, but it's added to our view.
Yeah, for sure. So you're playing in the American Association. How is this season going in terms of on-field performance?
Well, we're over 500, which is always good. We're certainly, if the season ended today, we're in a playoff spot. But we've had some ups and downs and some injuries, some latecomers. It's a very, very competitive league, and we're proud of where we are. So we're certainly happy, and we're just about at the midway point. So we're in a good position to catapult forward and do good things. But it's been a fun team to watch. Even the ones that we haven't succeeded at have been so close right until the end, and this team is capable of amazing things. They some phenomenal hitters, probably the best pitching staff in the league, so they keep us in it. But when the hitters come to life, it can be a really exciting game.
So Regan, for members of our audience who aren't maybe as familiar with the American Association and where your players come from, where would the members of the Winnipeg Goldeyes team all come from originally?
So these are all players who have either had a little bit of single A experience or double A experience, or even a little bit higher, or straight out of college, playing some college ball and trying to go pro. Sometimes early drafts that got released into affiliate clubs, or players who just got overlooked in the college go. So that's how the players are made up. I mean, to rank where we are, that this league sits itself as probably the AAA equivalent. Players from here will go to AA or sometimes AAA when they go into affiliated. To separate a partner league, which we are, from an affiliated, is an affiliated belongs to one club. A partner league belongs to every single major league club. So we could send one player to the Twins affiliate tomorrow and to the Dodgers affiliate the next day, whereas if you're affiliated, you can only go up from that inside that circle. So that's kind of where we have an advantage. There are three strong partner leagues: the American Association, which sits at the AAA, the Atlantic, that sits at the double, and then the Frontier League, where I also run a team that sits in the single A.
Cool. So I was using the term independent league. You're saying partner league is the correct term?
Yeah, partner league is the correct term. Major League Baseball, when it did its contraction, brought all of what were the independent leagues on as partner leagues. So that we can share player stats and whatnot, and that way all the major league clubs no longer have the smaller pool from the contraction. They actually now have an expanded pool because they can pull from the partner leagues.
So does that make it easier for a player from your team or from this league to make the jump to the big leagues or get on that path?
It absolutely does, because now the major leagues aren't having to go to a college and try and find a guy that they think can make it. They can actually look at stats of playing professional ball at a professional level and various levels with the partner leagues to determine that yes, this player is a fit for what we need right now.
Okay, cool. That's talking about the connection between the Goldeyes and other levels and organizations in baseball, Regan. But what about back home here in Manitoba and the connection that this club has with local communities as well?
So we're all about our community engagement, community involvement. We believe that's what makes for strong teams and for making the Goldeyes the success that they've been. And to us, that's all about outreach and getting our players out there. So we'll send players out to rural municipalities. We go to Low Farm every year and run a clinic. We visit Altona. In fact, this year we were all the way up north, went to the Paw in Thompson. Next year we've actually just confirmed we're going to go to Rankin Inlet. They're trying to revive baseball up north, and we found a partner in Calmaire who said, hey, we'll get you up there if you want to come up and do these clinics. So we're really trying to do some more outreach and get into the communities as much as we can. Baseball is a simple enough game that everybody can do it. I didn't realize how much talent there was in Manitoba until I married into a farming family and started visiting rural Manitoba and realized, oh my God, all these guys that can curl and they can play hockey and they can play baseball. And I'm not even sure if they know anything else, but those were the sports that won.
Yeah. Are you willing to share the last name of your in-laws?
Absolutely. No, my wife was a Falk before she met me.
So anybody, Regan, that hears the last name Falk in the baseball community in Manitoba knows who the Falks are.
They absolutely do. All of the brothers played on various teams throughout, and I believe now all of them are actually in the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame in Morden, so yes.
Yeah, pretty cool. Very cool to host us here at the ballpark tonight, Regan. Thanks again for joining us here on RealAg Radio.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Again, that's Regan Katz. He is the Chief Operating Officer for the Winnipeg Goldeyes Baseball Club here in downtown Winnipeg, playing the Kansas City Monarchs. We have a patio full of farmers, BASF customers in front of us in the stands down the third baseline here as we continue with RealAg Radio as part of the 2024 InVigor Series, celebrating 10 years and more than 80 million acres of farmers planting InVigor hybrid canola with pod shatter reduction technology. BASF is also excited to have introduced 3 new InVigor hybrids for the 2025 growing season. We have more on that on RealAgriculture.com, and we'll have more RealAg Radio on location from downtown Winnipeg at the ballpark in just a moment. You're listening to Rural Radio, Channel 147.
It's summertime, and you've got a lot of important decisions to make when it comes to your corn crop. Let the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com help guide you through those big decisions with input from leading experts in the field. If it's spray timing, disease identification, or any other field issue, the Corn School's got you covered. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com, brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio on location today from Game 1 of the 2024 InVigor Series. We are broadcasting from Blue Cross Park in downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba, where the Winnipeg Goldeyes are facing the Kansas City Monarchs. I know our next guest has been enjoying being at the ball field, maybe not one in downtown Winnipeg, but other ball fields around rural Manitoba over the last number of months, and that is Jeanette Gaultier. She is the Senior Technical Services Specialist with BASF based here in southern Manitoba, also a frequent guest on our schools, our agronomic school videos on RealAgriculture.com. Thanks for taking the time to join us today, Jeanette.
Hello. Happy that you invited me on. Been loving the kids' baseball. It's been great.
Yes, I should fill our audience in. Both of our daughters actually play in the same level of softball here in Manitoba, in the same league. They were in different divisions, so they didn't actually play against each other this year, but we were both at the same provincial tournament in Portage this past weekend. And it was certainly a good time as the sun, we finally got some of that summer heat and got some of that good summer baseball weather.
Yeah, and even it must go hand in hand with baseball, because when you guys hosted a tournament out of Altona, those were some nice warm days too.
You're right. It has been a battle to get the games and tournaments in, but there have been a couple bright spots like that during the season already. Why don't we talk a bit about your role with BASF, Jeanette? What is your role, and how do you work with farmers here in Western Canada?
Sure. I'm a tech service rep, like you say, but that probably doesn't mean much to anybody. So at BASF, I'm responsible for supporting the sales team with some of the technical information to support our products. And then they help me. I do a lot of field trials as well. So the sales team usually lines me up with some really great farmer cooperators. It's really one of the bright spots of the job, getting to test our products in the field to make sure that they're performing up to our standards, and then just seeing how the fit is for our region too. It's really cool.
So this year, of course, moisture has not, a lack of moisture has not been an issue for most of this, Western Canada in general, but especially here in Manitoba, or including here in Manitoba. What are you seeing or hearing from farmers that you're working with in terms of how the growing season is unfolding, Jeanette?
I think I probably sum it up well. I started off the season, it started raining nice there. I was like, I'm not going to complain about rain this year. And then after about a month of it, I'm like, all right, it's time to start complaining. I would say this is shades of 2016 in Manitoba. And just like that year, I seem to remember that there were some really great looking crops and absolutely fantastic yielding crops, and I can see that out there. And then there's some crops that maybe the fields don't look as great. They've been sitting underwater for a bit, or some of our warm season crops like corn and soybeans that could just use a little bit more heat. But I think we're getting a nice stretch here. I think there's a lot of fields that could still turn around too before harvest time.
And we're certainly, over the last week or two, we've been getting used to the constant buzz of the aerial applicators, the spray planes, as it's been too wet for fields for ground application, but plenty of fungicide going on as disease is certainly a concern this year.
Yeah, great time for farmers to hit the ball diamond. Maybe fewer aerial applicators in the stands. Definitely loving that buzz. I know. Yes, sometimes water can be hard, and managing disease too is it comes with some agronomic skills, making sure it's timed right. But I think when we look at most of our disease maps for our diseases that we're looking for, fusarium and wheat, and then specifically on canola right now, sclerotinia is front of mind. And so making sure that we are getting those applications on so that we are protecting those yields. I know the dry bean growers always say, mold, white mold is gold, because if you're getting the rain to support disease, you're getting the rain to support yields. We just got to make sure we keep those diseases in check, make sure that we are putting on appropriate fungicide products to manage those diseases.
And timing-wise, I know there a lot of canola is blooming around here already, driving into the city. We are definitely into that fungicide application window.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely pockets that are a little bit more advanced, and over in your neck of the woods, I would say that you guys are definitely some of the further ahead fields. When we get out west here, some fields are just starting to flower, or we're getting right at that fungicide timing. So we're looking for, that 20-30% bloom for optimal timing. But I know we get this question a lot, and it comes for wheat too. It's like, sometimes you get a bit of a stagey crop, or sometimes everything comes into bloom around the same time. So definitely we aim for the ideal, and it's nice if you have a really great looking field. That's the one you're going to peg to spray right at the ideal timing. But fungicides are great. They do offer protection, even if you are coming on a little bit early or even a little bit late. I actually find that those ones show up quite nicely. So if you do have a stagey field due to some of the stressful conditions, just, trying to figure out where the majority of the field is at for staging and using that as your guidelines for timing. But I would say this year, again, looking for those optimal timings, sometimes that's a real challenge logistically though. So just making sure that everything that's looking good is getting a fungicide application for sure to protect that yield.
So that's specifically talking about sclerotinia. What about some other diseases that we also see? Verticillium, for example. Are you concerned at all about verticillium issues in the canola crop this year?
Yeah, I would say so. We still have so much to learn about verticillium. Some say maybe you see it more in dry years. I don't have a feeling one way or another for verticillium. I feel like it's here in Manitoba especially, but we are seeing it in the rest of the West as well. So especially right along that border, Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. But I know there's been fields in Alberta, so everybody should be scouting for it. Specifically here in Manitoba, there's no fungicide that you can use, but we do see that trying to maintain a healthy crop. So we've already passed some of the fungicide staging, for example, for blackleg. We've had some other issues with rhizoctonia, which your seed treatment does kick in to protect, but we did have conditions for even the seedlings that were challenging. So we did see some of that. But again, managing that crop to protect against some of those early season diseases, against weeds, looking at your plant stands to make sure that, we were targeting ideal plant stands, because we don't want to encourage any lodging. And spraying for Sclerotinia is another one of those things that contributes to a healthy crop and can also prevent lodging. We do know that if canola crops that do get Sclerotinia are more prone to going down. So again, just trying to maintain healthy crops can really help with verticillium, it seems. It's not like you can prevent it from happening. It's going to come. It just seems like if you can keep everything else in check, then your crop is more likely to stand. And hopefully we have a good harvest without much rain, and that timely harvest also seems to help manage verticillium.
And of course, all of that information, as you mentioned, there's no fungicide specifically for verticillium, but there are genetics, or we're starting to have an understanding of genetic differences between different varieties, and this can inform our variety selection heading into 2025, including some of the new varieties that we're going to be seeing on the market this winter.
Absolutely. So I know the BASF team, for example, and it's not limited to just BASF, but the BASF team has been looking at verticillium for the last 3 years, I would say, in our breeding plots. And so it's something else that they're rating for. In addition to blackleg, we're always looking for good tolerances in addition to resistance for some of our other diseases. And so I would say right now, a lot of companies have tolerance ratings. It's a little bit hard to use them to compare varieties or hybrids outside of one company. For example, just because there isn't an industry set rating system at this time, I think there is work going on, so that should be coming. But I think it does help, for example, even within a portfolio, we might say, 340, L340, InVigor L340 looks really good, InVigor L356 looks really good. So some of our newer genetics seem to have a little bit more tolerance to verticillium, whereas something like InVigor L233P might be something that you just want to steer clear of, for example, if verticillium is one of your concerns. So in that respect, I think it's something that you can talk to your canola rep, your seed rep, but we'll also be chatting with the retails as well, so they'll have this information, and that can help guide some of those decisions. I would say, though, at this point, as it's just tolerance, and we do seem to have lots of verticillium around in Manitoba, choosing the right variety hybrid is just one way to manage verticillium, but it's not the standalone. You do have to make sure, as we talked about earlier, that you are keeping your crop healthy, managing your nitrogen fertility and your plant counts so that you're reducing the likelihood for lodging. So all those things seem to go hand in hand when managing for verticillium.
All right. I know we'll also be talking about the new InVigor earlies. I think it's L330 PC and 333 PC that are potential fits for good fits for here in Manitoba.
You nailed it. They're looking really great in our demonstration strip trials. Definitely lots of opportunity for folks to get out on tours and get a good look at them. So pretty exciting. We have a lot of great options in the InVigor canola portfolio. As of late, I would say some of the key or cornerstone hybrids have been either like a 4 or a 5 for maturity. And we all know that how much people loved InVigor L233P. And so we're going back to some of those genetics that are a true 3 maturity, so hence the name earlies. So again, very exciting. It'll just be a nice way to round out what's going into the field. Growers will have the option so that they can play with different maturities. It's a great way to hedge your bets too in a year where you're not sure. We've come off some really dry years where early maturing hybrids did really well. And then you throw in some of those later maturing hybrids, which often might eke out yield potential if we do get that season with some late rain, which this looks like it could be. But yeah, really exciting. They are looking fantastic. I can't wait to see how they yield this year.
All right. Thank you, Jeanette.
All right. Go Goldeyes.
Yes, that's Jeanette Gaultier, Senior Technical Services Specialist with BASF, joining us remotely as we are broadcasting on location today from Game 1 of the InVigor Series. Winnipeg Goldeyes taking on the Kansas City Monarchs here at Blue Cross Park. You're listening to RealAg Radio right here on Rural Radio Channel 147.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and InVigor Hybrid Canola.
Infuse some energy into your next corporate event, customer meeting, or conference with RealAg Radio, Canada's national agriculture radio show. Create a unique experience at your next event with host Shaun Morin, broadcasting RealAg Radio live on Sirius XM, featuring exciting guests, captivating interviews, and the latest news from the agriculture community. Contact advertising at realagriculture.com or call 587-787-1795 to book your on location with RealAg Radio today.
And welcome back. Our final hit here from downtown Winnipeg as part of the 2024 InVigor Series stop number 1 as the Winnipeg Goldeyes are playing host to the Kansas City Monarchs. We've pulled Shaun Morin, a farmer from the Portage La Prairie area, into the booth here to chat about, well, of course, all things baseball, but also farming and how the growing season is going. Thanks for taking the time to join us here, Shaun.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I know we were actually, I mentioned it earlier in the show, we were in Portage for softball provincials this past weekend, and we got hit by a major rainstorm on Saturday night that shut things down until Sunday.
Every second day, it seems like.
It seems like that. I was going to ask, what's the crop situation looking like in your area this year?
Some of the early cereals aren't looking too bad, but depending on the fields, we've had a lot of rain, and I know the corn seems to be suffering worse than just about anything. It can't take the water, but soybeans kind of holding up, and there's some good crops and some that aren't so good. Just depends how much rain you got and what type of soil you're on.
So were you dry heading into this year?
So last year we had a drought. The year before we had a flood. The year before that was a drought.
So the pattern continues, but that probably means that, or what would it look like in the past? Does that mean there's good yield potential then?
There was good yield potential until the multiple rains. So now the big yield is probably gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
The areas, though, that haven't drowned out, I'm guessing those are looking pretty good.
They'll be good, but generally where we are a little drier, we produce a bigger crop.
Okay.
Just a little bit on the dry side.
Okay. So what crops do you grow on your farm, Shaun?
So we're growing wheat, canola, soybeans, corn, edible beans. We've done a lot of other things in the past. Flaxseed, canary seed, coriander, caraway, just sunflowers. Depends on how we're rolling the dice and where we think what farmers aren't going to grow, what's going to be good next year.
Do you have irrigation available there?
We only have natural irrigation every second day, but we do have probably 30% of our farm tiled, so that's helped quite a bit.
Okay. How long is that an investment that you've made recently, or is that something that you've had for the long term already?
We try and do a little bit every year or two, and we started probably 10 years ago after we went through a really wet cycle, and I wish we would have done a lot more 10 years ago when things were a third the price, but that's farming. So
can you see a difference on those acres in a year like this where we are getting rain, it at least feels like every other day?
Definitely. It makes a big difference. remove the excess moisture, gives the crop a chance to root down. Can make a big difference, and depending on the crop.
Okay. So one of the things we're talking about today, we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the pod shatter reduction trait in InVigor canola. You mentioned you do grow canola on your farm. Which varieties do you have in the ground this year? Do you know?
This year we have InVigor pod shatter varieties.
Okay.
Yeah.
So over your farming career, how significant a development is that pod shatter trait in terms of the flexibility that it's brought you?
The pod shatter is big. I mean, it's allowed us to get rid of our swathers, eliminated operation there, and I think it's helped us in the yield and the overall quality of the seed.
Allows the crop to finish a little bit longer.
Matures more evenly.
Okay. Okay. So that's interesting. Do you said you have sold the swather? I know some people have gone away from swathing entirely. Other people say that the pod shatter reduction trait has also just given them more flexibility. You have more of an option as to how you manage harvest and can prioritize things differently.
If we get a good stand, we like to straight cut. And it just makes it easier at harvest time.
Okay.
Easier feeding in the combine, easier all the way through.
Okay. So, as you look to the rest of the growing season here, do you think that there's enough moisture now to finish the crop already? I guess with soybeans, it's probably a little early still.
There's enough to finish the crop, but to make the crop, depending on with the corn and the soybeans, later crops, we're going to need some moisture later on to help them fill. But the wheat's got enough to finish. It's there's wheat that's headed out. There's canola that's flowering. Those crops are going to come in. Yeah, they need a little dry weather to help them off.
Yeah. You mentioned the guys are in the field today spraying. You get to go to the ballpark and watch the ball game, but there are spraying operations happening back at home to protect the crop from disease?
They are spraying, and yes, they're probably doing some chemical passes, second passes on some Liberty, on some late canola, and fungicides on the wheat that's heading out.
Okay. Are you getting some work done by plane too? I know the planes have been buzzing in our area in the Red River Valley.
We haven't as of yet.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens with the weather. Hopefully it dries up the next few days and they can get over everything else.
Okay. You talked about rolling the dice on crop rotation choices before, Shaun. What about the marketing side of things? I know a lot of farms, I think, hung on to more in the bin later this spring than what we're used to. I can say that personally as well. So I'm not putting you on the spot, or I don't mean to put you on the spot here. But what's been your approach to the markets here this summer? As we have seen a bit of a rally the last month or so.
So we had a lot of crop pre-sold, and then when the market rallied, my son, my GM, was selling into that. Same old thing. You don't sell enough, and maybe we should have sold some more new crop. But averages out. If you can take a profit, you should take a little bit.
Yeah, and just like I guess the weather, there are seasonal patterns, but year to year it can be some big differences in timing of when to market.
When to market, right? So this rainfall is hurting us, but it's helping Alberta and Saskatchewan. And so everybody's now predicting a big crop, and so that's pushing the prices down.
Yeah. Especially on the canola side, or on our more Western Canadian focused crops.
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, we're a beautiful night for ball. The sun is coming out again after we had a few drops earlier, but thankfully it's turned out a beautiful night here as the Goldeyes are. It's now it looks like they're trailing 1-0 now in the bottom of the third inning, but. Are you an avid baseball fan as well, Shaun, taking the opportunity tonight?
I'm not an avid fan, but I did take the opportunity to bring my grandkids out here.
Oh, awesome.
Because I got a couple that play ball, and they were excited to be out here.
Cool. And
participate.
Come watch the I guess minor league players here with the Goldeyes. It's good, high-quality baseball as we get in this part of the world, for sure.
You bet.
So do you have a chance to, I know the Blue Jays are maybe not a team we want to talk about a whole lot, their performance this year. I think the Goldeyes have a better record than the Blue Jays. Are you a Blue Jays fan as well?
I watch a couple games, but not too many. But my grandkids were just down in Toronto, and they actually took in a game last weekend.
Oh, so, cool. Okay.
Yeah, they were pretty excited.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the team's record is when you're that age, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to stop by here, Shaun, and enjoy the rest of the ball game tonight with your grandkids, and all the best with the rest of the growing season as well.
Thank you very much.
Again, that's Shaun Morin, who farms just outside Portage La Prairie, Manitoba, joining us here. Again, we're broadcasting RealAg Radio on location today as we kick off the 2024 InVigor Series together with BASF. And just taking a moment now to switch headsets, we want to welcome Mel Schwering of BASF to the show. Mel, congratulations on a successful launch today of the InVigor Series for 2024.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to see everyone getting out to the stadium. It's been awesome to see our customers enjoying a great game.
So, what inspired BASF? I know this is the second year that RealAg Radio has, and we thank you for the partnership that we've been able to have this cool opportunity to broadcast on location from ballparks across Western Canada. What inspired this InVigor Series on BASF's part?
I think when we think about baseball, it's really about the community that it brings. I mean, even myself, growing up watching my dad play fastball, I grew up while we were farming and watching my dad play ball, and it's been part of my life the entire time. And so thinking about my summers, it's pretty common to be in a ball diamond, and I thought, as we were thinking about what we did, being able to take our customers out and enjoy a ball game, there's not much better than that.
It's a perfect July evening here. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I think you've got something special going here with the InVigor Series, and of course more stops coming in Edmonton and Saskatoon in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we're going to see the Saskatoon Berries on July 27th.
Which, by the way, I think is the coolest team name.
I'm very excited. Sorry, Goldeyes, if you're listening. But I'm very excited for the Saskatoon Berries. And then we've got the Edmonton Riverhawks on July 22nd.
All right, and RealAg Radio will be on location for both of those as well. Do you still play ball, Mel?
Yeah, I play slow pitch. I mean, I'm definitely not Goldeyes quality by any stretch of the imagination, but it's been pretty fun to play slow pitch. Even like this weekend coming up, I'm going to be in a breast cancer memorial tournament.
Oh, cool.
And so it'll be a pretty nice way to see, to support my friend who lost his wife to breast cancer. And so he's made this memorial tournament. So it's been pretty important to be able to show up. So it'll be a great weekend.
Yeah, that's special, and that's one. Another example of how baseball brings together community and including in farming areas. I know there's many farmers that play slow pitch and softball when they have the opportunity, when they're not in the field spraying, which tends to be a conflict at some parts of the season as well.
Yeah.
Congratulations again, and we're excited for the next couple stops on the 2024 InVigor Series. Thank you, Mel, for stopping by for our edition of RealAg Radio here on location. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out, Kelvin.
Again, that's Mel Schwering of BASF joining us here in the booth down the third base line as we have kicked off the 2024 InVigor Series here on RealAg Radio at the ballpark with a bunch of farmers and BASF customers watching the Winnipeg Goldeyes. As we look to the scoreboard, it is still 1-0 for the Kansas City Monarchs in the bottom of the fifth inning. Kansas City's put 6 hits on the board. Goldeyes still have 0. So maybe if we talk about the no-hitter, it'll jinx it for the pitcher here. But Goldeyes the hometown Goldeyes trailing 1-0 so far. A tight affair with lefty on the mound for Kansas City. And as Mel talked about, we'll have upcoming RealAg Radio broadcasts on location from Edmonton and Saskatoon as part of the 2024 InVigor Series. Shaun Haney will be in the host chair for those. Shaun wouldn't give up all of the on-location broadcasts from the ballpark. Of course, Shaun enjoys being at the park himself. He's usually at several ballparks every week watching his boys play across the U.S. and Western Canada as well. So looking forward to those broadcasts, and thanks again to Gill Smith, Jeanette Gaultier, Mel Schwering, Shaun Morin, and the Goldeyes' Regan Katz for joining us on today's show. It's been a lot of fun in the heat here in downtown Winnipeg. And most importantly, thank you, the audience at home, for making RealAg Radio a part of your busy day as well. And if you have any comments or questions, feedback for us, feel free to send me an email, kheppner@realagriculture.com. On behalf of the entire RealAg team, including our producer back home, Jason Strovey, thanks for joining us. RealAg Radio will be back again tomorrow right here on Rural Radio Channel 147 and in your podcast app. Farmer Rapid Fire will be chatting with farmers, catching up with farmers across Canada as part of our regular Thursday programming. Until then, take care.